Hello and welcome. Today we talk about the developments that have happened in Afghanistan over past 1 week. Afghanistan has been in the news, and that is because of the kind of swift pace the Taliban has shown in capturing the country in past virtually only 10 to 11 days. Yes, that's correct. It was only in last 11 days that most of the Afghanistan's areas, their districts and their provinces were captured by by Taliban. So how did this happen? How was this made possible? What happened to the government in Kabul? What happened to the Afghan defense forces, which was a full-fledged army with an air force of its own? So what all transpired in last 11 days in Afghanistan? How was it made possible that a force of merely 70 to 80,000 people could actually defeat an army which the America says was actually of around 3 lakh people, 3 lakh soldiers? These are questions that we have in our minds, and these are questions that need to be answered. To begin with, let's delve a little bit deeper into what Afghanistan has been, its history, its background. Afghanistan, if you look at its history, has mostly been in conflict. Afghanistan, over the period of 200 years, has been a target of outside invaders. If you look at the history, till now, three superpowers, which were superpowers at their individual points in times, have tried to capture Afghanistan, but have had to flee and had to actually go back in a much humiliating manner than anything else. So, as the saying goes, the Alexander the Great, the great Greek king or emperor, once said that it's easy to get into Afghanistan but very hard to come out of it. Then that saying has been proved right time and again. In the 19th century, it was the Great Britain, which was one of the biggest imperial powers at that point of time, which tried to conquer Afghanistan. They went in, they remained there, but had to come back in a humiliating and in the most painful way. And quite recently, we've seen the USSR that went into Afghanistan in 1980s had to bear the brunt of their adventure into this country. They also were removed from this country in a very humiliating manner. And now comes the America which went into Afghanistan after 9/11 and told the world that they were there to remove Al-Qaeda and its presence, and were after Osama bin Laden. They remained in this country for 20 long years, and the manner in which they exited itself is in many ways than one humiliating in nature. So the saying about Afghanistan that it's very easy to get in but very hard to come out has come true once again. Let's come to the recent developments. So recently, Afghanistan came into news once again after the America started talking to Taliban. So in 2018, it was at the insistence of Americans that Pakistan released Abdul Ghani Baradar. Pakistan was asked to release Abdul Ghani Baradar, one of the topmost commanders of Taliban, in fact the number 2 in its hierarchy, and a political office of Taliban was allowed to be set up in Doha. And since then, there have been constant conversations going on with Taliban, between Americans and the Taliban. And since then, it was just a matter of time that America finally decided to pull out. So the policy decision was already made that the troops would withdraw from Afghanistan. The American troops would be pulled out from Afghanistan by the September this month, but it was done even before that, and in such a swiftness, in such pace, that left the Afghan government and its troops also shocked and surprised. The biggest example of that has been the manner in which Americans withdrew from the Bagram air base, one of the biggest bases that their troops had in Afghanistan for last 2 decades, so to speak. It is said that the evacuation was done overnight, and even their counterparts in the Afghan forces were not informed. So virtually, when the Afghan forces woke up at the base in the morning, they found that all the American troops were gone. That was the pace in which this pullout was done, and this is being seen as one of the reasons which left Afghan forces demoralized. But that's not the only reason. Now let's get into that. The Afghan forces were 3 lakh strong. They had an air force of their own. They had all the equipment that was available, that could have been available for a modern army. Every piece of American military equipment was provided to them. America says that they were also trained by their army. So what exactly happened? How could Taliban, which by all estimates were just 70 to 80,000 odd men, manage their victory in such a swift manner and without even firing a single bullet at various places? There are various reasons to it. Some experts say that in the Afghan forces, the corruption was rampant. At many times, the soldiers on the ground would not be given salaries on time, so that demoralized them. While on the other hand, they were fighting Taliban whose morale was very high, because they were fighting for a religious cause. Secondly, it's also said that the manner in which US pulled out suddenly from Afghanistan, that also demoralized the troops. And third, which is also one of the most important, is that there was very little coordination between the local leadership of these troops and governors with the government at Kabul. And also, very importantly, it's also said that the Taliban, in a very smart manner, managed to coerce and set in deals for local governors, local leaders of the Afghan forces, and this process was put in place months earlier. There were constant talks being done through religious leaders, through local leaders, and it said that the deals were already cut. And that's the reason why we're seeing at various places Taliban did not even fire a single bullet before moving in. That's very smart and very tactical on their part, but that's exactly what happened on the ground. So this by no account is a major victory for Taliban. That's certainly there, and also will go down in the history, in the books of in the history books, as one of the quickest victories for a force which was just about less than half the strength of the country's defense forces. It will also go again to show how the Afghan leadership, political leadership, just vanished, just ran away. They just left their people, their forces behind, without putting a very solid fight. So all these things would definitely be seen in the history when it comes to Taliban and this region and Afghanistan's overall development, that when people would see it from many years to come. But what now? What is Taliban? What are they going to do? Who are part of this who are going to be part of this Taliban regime? All those questions are yet to be answered. It's too soon, it's too early. But yes, we can definitely tell you who are the top leadership in Taliban. Taliban at this point of time has a supreme leader. The topmost leader is Habibatullah Akhundzada. He is believed to be a religious leader. Mostly had worked in the background with Mullah Umar, the founder of Taliban. Recently in 2016, he was made the supreme commander of Taliban when the then commander of Taliban was killed in a US airstrike. It's said that he has tactical advantages, and he has proven his record by making sure that he he brought together different factions of Taliban, which at one point of time were fighting among each other. So he is the head, the supreme commander of Taliban at this point of time. His number two, who is again a very prominent leader, as I was pointing out earlier, Abdul Ghani Baradar. He's a very interesting person. Once again, he's been very prominent. In fact, is known as the co-founder of Taliban. He and Mullah Umar founded Taliban when it began. From two madrasas is what is being said about them. Again, an important figure. He is the head politically in all measures possible. He has been the one who has been at the forefront of negotiations with America, with all the other negotiators, and most likely he is going to take the command of the country. That's what the experts are saying. There's another very important figure, Mullah Yaqub. He is the son of the founder of Taliban, Mullah Umar, who was killed or rather died in Afghanistan a few years back, and Taliban later on, accepted that they had hidden his death for close to 2 years. So he is his son. He is believed to be the successor, is going to be by all means the successor of Haibatullah. There is another person, Sirajuddin Haqqani, the head of Haqqani Network, again a designated terrorist group as per the United States, which has been fighting US forces in Afghanistan for the last many years. And then there is a Shura, a council that the Taliban has put together. It has close to 26 members, and it's an advisory council from where Taliban takes its advice and then executes them on the ground. So that is the structure of Taliban as we know today. We don't know how they're going to act, what kind of government would they be putting in place, whether there would be people's participation in that government in Afghanistan. All those questions are there to be seen and watched out for. For now, all the statements that Taliban has put out are suggesting that Taliban is ready to be moderate in one way or the other. They have said that they're giving general amnesty to all those people who have either worked with Americans or previous governments. So all those things do suggest that it's going to be some sort of a change from what we saw in Taliban in earlier versions and what Taliban are going to be now. But again, like I said, too early for that to be said. You will have to wait and see how it all goes and how this country shapes out from here on. What does this mean for the world, and how the neighbors of Afghanistan are taking it? Well, for Pakistan, this, as for a lot of experts, is a tactical advantage, tactical victory. Having a friendly or having a supportive administration in Afghanistan is certainly a good news for Pakistan, particularly with its relations with India. But for India, it's not that easy. India has had very good relationships with the earlier government in Afghanistan, and in fact had invested a good amount of money, 3 billion to be specific, or rather more than that, in fact, at various places, many projects, hundreds of projects, dams, schools, highways that were invested in by India over past many years. And all those investments are now are going to be under a question mark. It will depend on what kind of relationship India will have with the Taliban regime, and what it would mean for the dynamics that play out here between India and Pakistan. China in itself again will see or most likely will see more a lot of its influence rising in Afghanistan. That's what a lot of experts are believing, and all those are very crucial dynamics, at least for this region, and at least for as far as Indian politics and Indian concerns are taken into account. So all these things are going to be very carefully watched. The world is going to see how this region will function from here on. But again, like I was pointing out, the manner in which Taliban has managed to achieve this victory is in itself very surprising, to say the least, and will go down in the books of the history as one of one of the most finest tactical wins for a force which was, by all accounts, less than half of the number of the existing army of a country. So those are the pointers that I have for today in this video. If you like it, do share it. If you want to say something, if you want to comment about it, do write in the comment section. I will try and respond to it. Also, please do make suggestions if at all you have any for these videos. I would be gladly willing to see them and also commenting on them. So for now, thank you so much for watching.